Today we're watching. The movie opens with the narrator talking about his childhood. As a kid, he decided one year to try and stay up and catch Santa Claus. He sneaks out of bed and almost thinks he sees Santa Claus, but it's just some shadow shenanigans. He goes back to his bedroom and then spies on his sister and his parents through his keyhole, which is creepy. His sister's laying down straight facts about how Santa Claus literally cannot be real because there's no way he could have enough presents for everyone around the world to be on his sleigh, and there's no way he could get to every single house in one night. Her parents say STFU and go to bed or Santa won't come. Bro then goes into a drawer of conspiracy theory files of Santa Claus not being real. Like, why is a kid this age this obsessed with this? For him to be collecting pictures and newspaper cutouts of this is actually really odd. He dives back into bed because he hears his parents coming up to check on him. He pulls off the old faking being asleep act and it totally works. After a moment, the ground and everything in his room starts shaking abruptly. Outside his window, a large amount of smoke, bright lights, and loud sounds draw his attention and make him run outside to go investigate it, ripping open the pocket of his robe in his hurry. And he can't believe his eyes that there's a literal train just 5 feet away from his house. Off steps a conductor played by Tom Hanks going, "Albert." The conductor asks him what every guy wants their girlfriend to ask him.
Well, you coming?
But him being confused AF as why there's a train in his front yard leads him to asking where would this be taking him. I mean, isn't it obvious? Bro is so taken aback about what's happening that he can't even muster up any more words in the North Pole. So the conductor starts pulling receipts. Essentially, this kid showing such lack of there being a Santa, it's his crucial year to show faith or he's gonna be ostracized for good from the holiday. The conductor says he's gotta get going, so you gotta hop on or what? And little bro is so sussed out, he's like, nah, I'm good. I don't trust that mustache. And that's where the movie ends. It was pretty quick. Okay, no. He hops on last second. So he gets on the train and sees a bunch of other kids, and literally this girl who's so annoying and just will not stop staring at him for some reason. She is so creepy. And then some nerd emoji kid starts quizzing him about what train they're on, and the creepy girl goes like, it's a magic train. Boring. Then they go buy some fake like Christmas animatronics, and all the kids love it except for our main guy who's just like, it's fake actually. It's what away Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, buddy, you're not smart by noticing that it's an animatronic. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but it's still nice to see the whimsical part of it. Then the conductor comes by and goes, tickets please. Tells bro to check his pocket, but his pocket is ripped open from earlier in the movie, so he checks his other pocket. So the conductor rapid fire punches his ticket with a B and then an E at the end. Then train kid butts in and is like, look at this guy for my ticket. Now the train is doing their last pickup, just like how they just picked up little bro. This kid's sus as freak and he's not trying to get on this train with this mustache man. That little bro is staring him down and gives him a little wave as they're going by, but then of course he realizes he wants to get on the train. It's too bad nobody ever taught him how to run and he was born with chicken legs, and he fully face plants into the snow. So he's like, we gotta stop the train. Train kid says, but you emergency brake. And Chicken Lil is able to get on board, except he doesn't join them. He goes to the back car for some reason. The conductor comes in absolutely fuming, and Train Kid is lightning quick to tattletale on him. After digging into Lil Bro about how maybe he doesn't value Christmas as much as others, it doesn't mean he should ruin it for everybody. It becomes clear that he only stopped the train to let that kid on board, and then the conductor's like, oh, well, that's fine then. And, wow, we're late. We gotta get moving. So then after this, obviously we gotta jump into a musical number. Do any people on board need refreshments? We got some servers coming here absolutely busting down and delivering hot chocolate to everybody on board. Hot chocolate. Hot chocolate. Creepy girl saved a cup for the poverty kid back there, so she's gonna go deliver that. Nerd emoji calls her out for it, so Tom Hanks decides to give her an escort to the back. Then little bro sees that she left her ticket on her seat, and he's like, oh my god, she left her ticket behind. And I'm sitting here like, why does that matter? Isn't she gonna come back to her seat? So now he stupidly goes out to try and give it to her by himself. And of course, this is now a plot line where he loses the ticket, obviously. And the fact that this ticket doesn't just fly off into oblivion is amazing. I mean, it stays right along the train the whole time, skidding across the windows. He can almost get to it, but then it flies off into the trees to a pile of snow. And then some wolves go by it. It ping-pongs between the wolves for some reason into the air. And then an eagle of all things comes and grabs it out of midair, flies over a waterfall, gives it to its baby because it thinks it's food now, and the baby is smarter than the mother, so it spits it out into a ball, which causes it to start rolling down the hill into a big snowball before it then breaks, and the ticket is now back into a ticket. It then majestically floats down into a tunnel where the train then hits it and picks it up. It then flies under the train, hits a guy that's somehow sleeping under the train for some reason, flies magically up, and then back into the train, and it's just out of shot, making this whole thing almost practically, basically pointless. Mustache man comes by creepy girl and says,
Forgive me. I believe I have neglected to punch your ticket. May I?
and she can't seem to find the ticket, and I'm just like, it's right there. It's right there. And she's gonna get kicked off the train if she can't find it. And I'm just like, it's just, just look a little harder. It's right there. So little bro says she's not the one that lost it. I am. He's self-reporting himself, basically. He tries to give her his ticket, but he's like, these tickets are non-transferable. I mean, they are practically looking at her ticket now, flapping in the vent, and they're just not grabbing it. And nerd emoji kid says, yeah, he's gonna take her to the back and throw her off the train. Like, what? What are we doing?
It's standard procedure. That way she won't get sucked down under the wheels.
So then little bro has the brilliant idea, oh, I have to stop the train again. And that's when he finally notices the flapping ticket in the vent. Just as it's leaving, he pinches it and grabs it. And he's like, oh, there that is. He runs to the back and then can't find them. He asks Poverty Kid, and he apparently is deaf and mute. So he just looks up and then he sees a shadow of somebody on top of the train. Now, I have no idea why they would be on top of the train, and they aren't, and it leads to him finding this like hobo looking guy who's cooking something over a little fireplace. So I'm left wondering, where did those two go off to if they didn't go up there, and why the heck is this guy up here? But okay, he notices the ticket and he's like, oh, you should tuck that somewhere safe. I keep all my belongings in my shoe. And then he proclaims that he can hop on this train anytime he wants. He practically lives on it, and he says he owns it, and then he says he's the king of the North Pole, and I think he's just a drunk. Little bro's like, isn't Santa the king of the North Pole?
You mean this guy?
This hobo is also voiced by Tom Hanks. The kid says he wants to believe in Santa but doesn't want to be fooled. The hobo says seeing is believing, and let's go find that girl. The kid then just gets abandoned up top, and he thinks he's in a dream now, so he's trying to wake up, and then he comes back for him, and he's wearing skis and a headlamp for some reason. Now they're legit just skiing on top of the train, and then the guy says jump, and then he evaporates. He was a ghost the whole time. Whoa. And then he finally finds that creep girl. Apparently she's the one that's been driving the train for the past minute. The engineers went out front to fix a light, and they told her all the controls and just, trusted her with everybody's lives on board. But then of course something wrong happens. The engineers spot something ahead and they go, stop the train. And creep girl is kind of buckling under pressure, and she just puts her hands in her face and goes like, I can't do it. So then our boy has to figure out which one's the brake, and then good thing he does the right one, because then they actually stop right before they run into a pack of caribou. And the conductor of course shows up, and he's like, I should have known you hit the brakes again. And then some sort of miracle by little bro accidentally slipping on some ice, he pulls the ginger guy's long beard and he makes a caribou like sound. And then the caribou seem to respond to it, so the conductor's like, let's just keep yanking on this dude's chain and we'll clear out these caribous, and this for some reason works. Problem solved. So then one of the engineers is absolutely cranking the shaft of this thing, and then it breaks off, and the pin in, he goes, oh, get to grab it, I'm gonna point at it, there's the pin, and it's gone. And now they're stuck in maximum overdrive mode. And then I have no idea how these tracks are built to support a train of this size. It's literally a roller coaster that we're on, and we're watching it in first person most of the time. But we're also seeing the engineers trying to catch the pin as he's bobbling around, and they catch it in their mouth and they spit it out, and it's like, oh my gosh, we just need this to slow down this train. And I'm like, how are they even on the rail still? And then to top it all off, the tracks are covered in a lake now, and it's all frozen for some reason. This is a very poorly designed, I don't know, I don't know why bro stresses so much about staying on schedule when they literally built one of the worst mode of transportations I've ever seen. So as the train is Tokyo drifting across the ice, the pin that they were desperately trying to catch to be able to slow down the train gets shot out onto the ice and it starts forming cracks across the whole frozen lake. And then bro finally had the bright idea, oh, I can just use the thing that looks exactly like the pin that I'm using to keep my hair together and just use that to stop the train and save everybody's lives. But there's no time to pass the blame as the ice is quickly collapsing and they gotta move it. After they just stopped the train, they gotta throw it into drive and get over to that opening as quick as they can. And the conductor's on top and he's calling out left, right to try and get them to steer the train into the crevasse. But like, how do they actually steer the train? I'm pretty sure the tracks steer the train. So I have no reason to believe that this would ever work. But because it's a magic train, let's just say it does. And in all the commotion, little bro's slipper starts slipping off and she's like, oh, your golden ticket. And he's like, it's your ticket. And she's like, it's my ticket. What? And then they are barely able to grab it, of course. It doesn't just fly away. It's like one of those things, it's like a ticket thing where you're just standing in front and you're just trying to grab the ticket because it's not actually going to fly anywhere, even though they really would fly away from you in this scenario. But whatever, they get it and they end up getting successfully through just in time, actually, as the back train cars literally were dipping into the water. And I hope none of the kids were in those back train cars because they would be frozen. And of course, after all of that, the conductor's like, oh, did you say tickets?
Well, in that case, tickets, please.
And then he punches out some letters in her ticket. And then instead of taking them back to their seats in a normal way, they go through an abandoned toy section of the train that exists for some reason. Little bro gets called a Scrooge by a marionette version of Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, sorry, Ebenezer Scrooge. But the marionette is being controlled by that hobo up on top who's just making fun of him. He's really actually harassing him and just screaming at him, yelling that he's a doubter about Santa Claus. He stumbles his way back to the normal train car, then the train kid starts rambling on about stuff and he's like, I can't be asked. He joins the creepy girl as she creeps on that little poor boy. Now he's creepy boy, so we got creepy girl and creepy boy creeping on poor boy. The little poor boy is singing a song about how he never gets presents on Christmas, so he can't believe in Santa Claus because his family's too poor. Oh, that's kind of sad. Then creepy girl decides to join in and I'm like, skip. The conductor comes over to be like, yeah, we just got to the Northern Lights, but look over here, it's the North Pole. But I'm out here asking why they're not taking a more direct path towards it. Why'd they curve all the way out here onto this frozen lake? What did they need the cinematic view of it? The conductor seems to be very happy that they actually made it on time. Actually starts crying a little bit out of happiness. All the kids notice that there's no elves around, and then that's when the conductor comes in and says they're all gathered at the center of the town. They're waiting there because that's where Santa gives out the first gift of Christmas to one of you. But then they see all the elves walking by the train, and then like these three are for some reason doing somersaults, but okay. The conductor has all the kids get out and form two lines by shortest to tallest, but then also odd number of birthdays and even number of birthdays on the other side. What is this arbitrary line organization? The two creep kids notice that the poor boy is still on the train, and then the conductor says no one has to see Santa. But if this poor kid is such a doubter and wishes to see Santa so bad and get proof, like why is he not getting off the train just to go see? I mean, our little bro is going to go see Santa because he doesn't believe in him, but also like wants to. He just want to be fooled, so he's out there. They can't seem to convince poor boy because Christmas doesn't work out for me. Then the train car they're in suddenly starts moving because the little bro accidentally dislodged it from the other cars when he was climbing in. Now they're off on yet another adventure that they should not be on, as this train is traveling at breakneck speeds through Santa's village. The train finally crashes into a stopper, starts spinning them around a little bit, but doesn't go anywhere. They get out. They start walking across this train rail that's basically a balance beam where if you fall, you're dead, because they hear some elves singing off in the distance. It turns out the singing was just a record playing, but creepy girl and poor boy hear something in the distance, so they start to go that way. And little bro's a little bit hesitant because he can't hear anything, and he's wondering why can't he hear anything, but he goes along with them anyways. They see a couple elves that are still working. They're monitoring the kids as they sleep, and one of them is like a Napoleon type, and it's kind of funny. They get a naughty alert from some kid in New Jersey that apparently put gum in his sister's hair. They cut him a break though. I mean, it's Christmas. Christmas Eve. The elves take this pneumatic tube to the center square, so obviously the kids take it as well, and they travel again at breakneck speeds to the point where I'm convinced they would be turned into jelly in this jar here. But they don't end up at center square, do they? And now Creepy Girl and Poor Boy can't seem to hear that sound that they've been trying to follow. So little bro steps up to the plate and says, we should follow those arrows. And as they're making their way down this conveyor belt, I can't help but notice how weird their animations look. I mean, Creepy Girl is just flailing around and Poor Boy's legs just look like they're breaking here. So then the conveyor system turns on and a present makes its way down. They read the tag on it and see that it's for the poor kid. And instead of grabbing it, he just watches it as it goes by. So he dives onto the conveyor belt, giving us a little bit of an upskirt of Poor Boy's features. And of course, his friends have to chase after him. So now we're going to see some more wonky CGI running. They all go sliding like they're on the Jamaican bobsled team, and they end up down in a funnel on top of all of the presents for all the kids around the world. Then Santa's bag of gifts gets closed up and airlifted out of there. The poor boy's getting grabbed by something and they're trying to yank him out. And then it turns out it's the flippin' train kid who somehow got here. Then there's this whole commotion about, oh, they're not going to be able to get it over the tree to get to the landing spot. They need more altitude. Everyone yells up, more altitude. Well, I'm like, can't they just go around the tree to get to the landing spot? But whatever. So in order to get more altitude, all these elves they just paratroop off of the thing. And then it raises up the blimp. Oh, gosh. They should have sent these elves into Venezuela. So it barely makes it over the tree, but it knocks over the star. And then they send down a freaking SEAL Team 6 elves to catch it in time and bring it back up onto the tree.
A well-oiled machine.
So the kids in the bag are found out about and they're kicked out. They slide down back to their group. But poor boy has to give up his gift, which is kind of sad. So now the party really begins. There's all this festive dancing and singing, and then all these elves bring out these bells. And all the kids around are like, isn't that the most wonderful sound you've ever heard? But for some reason, little bro can't hear the bells. Everybody starts singing Santa Claus is coming to town. Then the door finally opens and the whole place goes berserk. I mean, you would think this was New Year's Eve at Times Square. So the other kids could see Santa, but little bro's struggling to see him. He's having like a legit existential crisis. And that's when in slow motion, one of the bells from the reindeer pops off, magically bounces its way over to little bro. He shakes the bell directly in his ear, but he still can't hear anything. And after this whole day of this whole journey and everything he's been through, he finally decides to lament and go, I believe. I believe. And then he finally hears the sound of that sweet, sweet bell. And in the reflection of the bell is none other than Santa Claus. Played by Tom Hanks again, of course.
What was that you said?
I didn't mean anything by it, Mr. Hanks. I'm just saying you're riddled throughout this movie like they really got their money's worth with you. He gives Santa back the bell. Train kid is screaming, I want the first gift, I want the first gift. Santa says, have a little bit of patience and maybe lay off the Twinkies. Then he just talks to the creepy girl and is basically like, wow, you're amazing. Keep up the good work. But then doesn't give her anything to work on or whatever. Then he talks to Porky and is like, oh, looks like you finally made some friends, you freaking loser. There's no better gift than friends. And speaking of gifts, let's give it to this guy, obviously. He was gonna get it the whole time. Little bro, come on down. And I would like to just point out how funny it is that all the background kids there, they didn't even get their one-on-one with Santa. They had no chance of getting this first gift. They were merely here just to be background bodies. So Santa asks little bro on the sled, what do you want for Christmas? He whispers in his ear something, and then Santa holds up the bell and goes, the first gift of Christmas. The whole place goes freaking berserk again. He pockets away the bell. And then we actually get a glimpse of what the conductor's stopwatch looks like. And it's pretty funny. It just says late, on time, and early. Which is every time he was looking at it, he wasn't even reading the time. He was just seeing like how screwed behind schedule they were. I personally like to think they made up time on the ice lake. So Santa takes off and Back to the Future's out of there. All the elves throw their hat in celebration. And then a little concert starts playing where Steven Tyler as an elf of all people starts singing Rocking on Top of the World. Well, it's time to go home. It's past everybody's bedtime. Conductor's punching in the last of their tickets. So the train kid gets one that says learn, as in he needs to learn to not be annoying. Poor kid gets a really nice one that has many different words on it, all about depending on other people, basically. The creepy girl is told like she's basically perfect and she should just be a leader. That's legit. He's like, I'll follow you anywhere. And then little bro says believe, but the conductor's like, oh, I don't even know that. He disappears anyways when he puts it in his pocket. All the kids gather around little bro and it's like, hey, let's see the bell. Let's see the bell. But it turns out he put it in the wrong pocket. That pocket he ripped in the beginning of the movie and it fell out. Before they can make any effort to get anybody to try and find it, the train starts moving. Poor kid is the first person they drop off, and he finally, at the very end of this movie, thanks our little bro for stopping the train for him in the first place. Yeah, way to hold on to that thank you for dear life. My gosh. When I'm out in public and someone holds a door open for me, I say thank you right away. I don't wait till we go to the North Pole and back to say thanks. So somehow, by the power of Christmas, the poor kid's shack of a home gets a full-on makeover. So much so that he can't even recognize his own house. But he runs inside, comes back out with his present. He's like, look, I flippin' got it. As we know, next up is little bro's house. Train kid goes, sorry about the bell, but it's on that counts. I don't think this really applies to the situation, but okay. And then creepy girl gives her a very lingered hug, which is like the equivalent of kissing for 4th graders. He thanks the conductor, but then the conductor actually thanks him and says,
One thing about trains, it doesn't matter where they're going. What matters is deciding to get on.
now this advice is so stupid because anybody who lives in like an actual city knows that if you hop onto any subway, you're not exactly going to get to where you want to be. The conductor says Merry Christmas, and even the hobo up top waves goodbye before disappearing because he do be a ghost. Now the little bro's waking up the next morning. His sister's going, Santa came, look, a train. But it's not the train we expect, not the Polar Express. It's a toy train they simply got as a present. After all the gifts are unwrapped, there's one more hidden behind the tree for little bro. And believe it or not, it's the frickin' bell. He and his sister could both hear the beautiful sound of the bell. And there's even a note there for Mr. C himself. Their parents are like, oh, would you get a bell from Santa? And then the dad, played by Tom Hanks yet again, goes, oh, it's too bad it's broken. If only the kids could hear it. Not broken at all. Then a little Tom Hanks narration, because he's not in this movie enough, wraps us up by saying over the years, he was still able to hear the bell even though his sister and his friends stopped hearing them when they got older. Now that's the end of the movie, The Polar Express. What can I express about this movie? For starters, it's a good story, but it could have been told in a much quicker time. So much of the time added onto this film is just from random hijinks of like, oh, we have to get this ticket that we didn't need to lose in the first place, and then it just comes back to them and doesn't have any real consequences. A lot of runtime padding, but you know what? I'm here for it. And the 2004 CGI, you know, is scarring, but in a good way. I mean, some people could be haunted by the images of this film, but it's got charm to it too, of course. If the conductor had his way with this film, it would have been 20 minutes tops. Pick up everybody, take them over there, have the celebration, take them back. Done. But I was here for it, enjoying all the hijinks, and so did you, I guess, if you made this far in the video. My biggest gripe with this film, though, is that they definitely underutilized Tom Hanks. I mean, he was barely in it. Anyways, this movie gets 10 trains out of 14.